Diary entry number 22. The Never-Ending Trauma Bond. Welcome back to the Nervous System Diaries. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that the names have been changed, not to protect the people who hurt me, but to protect myself. My first abuser was number 1. My second abuser will be known as number 2. Now let's begin. This diary entry is called The Never-Ending Trauma Bond. Looking back now, I wish I had known the words trauma bond. I wish someone had explained it to me. Maybe it would have saved me from repeating the same mistakes. Maybe it would have helped me understand why I kept forgiving things that should never have been forgiven. Maybe it would have helped me see why I kept allowing someone to control me without fully realizing that was exactly what was happening. Back then, I thought I was being kind. I thought I was being understanding. I thought I was being loyal. What I didn't realize is that years of abuse had trained me to put everyone else's needs ahead of my own. Let's fast forward a bit. Number 2's probation was almost over. Since he couldn't seem to hold a job down for very long, I ended up paying most of his restitution fees myself. Of course, he had a way of making me feel like it was my responsibility too. He would say things like, "You got me into this because of your family." And I somehow believed it. At the same time, social media had become another way he controlled things. If he said something funny, he'd tell me to post it because my friends would laugh too. He also told me to block my family on my post because he would say they would start judging me for me staying with him. And according to him, he didn't need drama because it would make him angry. So I listened. I always listened. Because I had learned that keeping the peace felt safer than having an argument. I thought that was respect. Now, I know it was survival. Meanwhile, I was doing really good at my job. I loved working there. I was learning so much about the housing programs and helping people. I had responsibilities. I had coworkers who cared about me. And for the first time in a long time, I was building something for myself. Number 2, however, was still bouncing from excuse to excuse. There were 2 libraries within walking distance of our house. One was small, one was huge. He spent entire days there, supposedly looking for work. But now that probation was ending and his fines were paid, there wasn't much holding him back anymore. So I finally drew the line. I told him, "You have 90 days to find a solid job, or you need to leave." He wasn't happy about it. We argued. He pushed back. And while I may have let him win a few battles during those 90 days, I kept track of the calendar. I was serious. The more time passed, the more lies I caught. He'd tell me he spent the day at the library, only I knew the library had been closed. If he was lying about that, what else was he lying about? And before long, just like normal, I would find more evidence. Emails to other women, pictures, secret social media accounts, online relationships with women overseas, and just like before, I was somehow the problem for discovering it. Not for him doing it, but for me finding out. When the 90 days finally expired, I made up my mind. I was done. Done with the lies, done with the manipulation, done with carrying someone who refused to carry himself. I confided in one of my coworkers, the same coworker who had helped me furnish the home, the same man who helped us over and over again. He'd always call number 2 a bum at work. I always laughed. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. He told me exactly what to do. Put his things on the porch. I'll come by and change the locks when he's gone. So that's exactly what I did. While number 2 was supposedly at the library, I packed his belongings. He didn't have much, just one suitcase. My friend changed the locks, and I sent the text. Time was up. When number 2 got the message, he was furious. He came straight to the house. He started kicking the door, trying to force his way in. The window on the front door was plexiglass, but he kicked it in so hard it came apart from the door. I was terrified. I yelled through the door that if he didn't stop, I was going to call the police. At the same time, I texted my friend. He replied immediately, "I'm on my way." When he arrived, he removed number 2 from the porch. He loaded up his belongings. He told number 2 he would take him wherever he wanted to go, but that he wasn't staying there. Also, I must add that my friend was also friends with my landlord, and that's why he was able to do these things. The police arrived shortly after. I explained what happened. They agreed to patrol the area throughout the night. That should have been the end of the story, but trauma bonds don't work that way. That night, Puppy started barking loudly. Someone was banging on the door. Then my phone lit up, let me in. I froze. Now, before anyone asks why I hadn't blocked him, I had shut his phone off because it was in my account. But my friend had given him money for food, and he'd used some of it to buy phone minutes. I grabbed Puppy and went into the back room. I called the police. They searched the area, but they couldn't find him. Eventually, the knocking stopped, and then, for the first time in years, I was alone. Actually, alone. For an entire month. And something surprising happened. Life got easier. I had food that lasted more than a couple of days. I actually had internet hooked up into the home. I had gas in my truck. I paid my bills with ease and still had money left over. I could breathe. I spent a lot of time sitting quietly, thinking about everything I had survived, everything I had endured, and who I wanted to become. During that time, I also searching for family. I was looking for my half-sister. Instead, I found my biological father. That question opened some questions inside of me that I wasn't prepared to answer yet. Questions about my childhood. Questions about memories. Questions that left me feeling deeply uncomfortable. While all of this was happening, my friend occasionally updated me about number 2. Apparently, he had not one job, but 2. And honestly, that frustrated me. Because I couldn't stop wondering why he couldn't have done that when we were together. Why did everything change after I finally left? One evening I downloaded Skype. I rarely used it anymore. I only wanted to call my pops. What I didn't realize is that number 2 was still on my contact list. The moment I logged in, a message popped up. One simple word. Hi. I should have blocked him. I should have closed the app. I should have walked away. Instead, I replied, "Hi." One word. That's all it took. And that's how he got back in. He immediately started telling me everything I had always wanted to hear. I have money now. I have 2 jobs. I miss you. I love you. Here's the thing about trauma bonds. The bad memories fade faster than they should. The loneliness feels louder than it is. And hope starts sounding like truth. He told me he was living in a men's homeless shelter. He said it was loud. He said he couldn't sleep. I felt bad for him. Then he asked if he could come talk to me. I paused for quite some time, and then I finally caved and said yes. What I didn't know is that the shelter had a curfew. By the time we finished talking, he had missed it. Suddenly, he had nowhere to go. Or so he said. I remember thinking, are you kidding me? But guilt got me again. It always got me. So I told him he could stay one night, on the couch or in the spare room. He also asked if he could take a shower. That might not sound important, but to me it was, because number 2 had terrible hygiene for most of our relationship. Sometimes he would go weeks without bathing unless I pushed him. Now suddenly he was showering, working, showing responsibility. I thought maybe he had changed. Maybe kicking him out had finally forced him to grow up. We stayed up late into the night talking. The next morning he asked, "Can I come home, please?" I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Part of me remembered everything he had done, but another part saw what looked like change. So I said, let me think on it. And then eventually I agreed. But I had conditions. I set my boundaries. He would pay his own expenses. He would contribute to the rent. He would stay in the guest room. And it was supposed to be temporary. A trial run, nothing more. We collected his belongings from the shelter, and number 2 moved back in. At first it felt strange. Then he started showing up at my job on his days off. I didn't like it. It felt odd. I mean, he was just stopping to say hi, but still, it was weird. But there was so much happening at once. My biological father had started calling my workplace too. Every direction I turned seemed to bring more chaos. Then my 1-year anniversary at work arrived. I thought I was finally going to be hired on permanently. Instead, I was told there was budget cuts. That's the official reason. But deep down, I believe my personal life had become part of the problem, because I was already warned about it. But for whatever reason, I was suddenly unemployed. And once again, I felt trapped. That's when number 2 said exactly what I wanted to hear. Let me take care of you for a change. And I believed him. Because I was lonely. Because I wanted to believe people could change. Because I thought he had changed. But he didn't. He was still manipulating me. Still controlling me. Still the same number 2. Just wearing a different mask. And that's where we'll pick up next time. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this is the Nervous System Diaries.